Starting take two in 3, 2, 1, go! Happy Independence Day, everybody. Welcome to Take Two right here on the Voices on the Net Network. Didn't think you would hear that, right? It was last year. Ronnie definitely didn't think I think she actually looking forward to a day off because she assumed we would have the day off. But not today, not this year. Nah, we're here for you. At least I'm glad to be here. I don't know about Ronnie. I think she is glad to be here. I hope she's glad to be here. I'm sure she'd rather be here. I'm sure she'd rather be sleeping now. I mean, deep down inside. But a close second.
Yeah, very close second.
Yeah, mine's far away first, so I'll take that. Yeah, but I'm glad we're both glad to be here. We've got a great show planned for each and every one of you. That is right. It is 4th of July as we do this show, so happy 4th to each and every one of you. Celebrate, of course, Independence Day. As stated before, I have a great show planned. We're counting down to the 300th episode show, so a lot going on here on Take Two right here at the Voices on the Net Network. We're going to have Ronnie make it official in just a hot moment, but before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about Ronnie making it official, all of that. If all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, please visit www.vonthenet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information regarding the Voices on the Net Network. Yeah. This is great because if you're a new listener, right, you have no idea what this network's all about. I get a lot of emails from listeners that have no idea. Believe it or not, they'll say, "Is Voices on the Net a show? I see you in the streaming on your streaming whether it's Stickam, whatever. They see Voices on the Net. Is that the name of your show?" Well, no, that's the network name. Like CBS is a network, and then they host all of the other shows that they have. Yeah. Well, like Fox is a network and so forth, and all of the other shows they have, like House, American Idol, all of those other shows. All the Voices on the Net is comparable to Fox, and Take Two is comparable to American Idol without the millions of listeners and viewers. But to check out more information about this network, find out more information would be the better word. Go to the top of the website, click the About link, and you'll reach that webpage that will give you everything you need to know pertaining to the network in thorough detail. You can also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they're also on demand for and at your very own convenience. And you can check everything out by going to www.vonthenet.com. It's Independence Day, Ronnie.
I know.
Yeah, fireworks, barbecue, I love it. I do. I'm a fall guy, but when it comes to 4th of July, I love fireworks. Call me a pyromaniac, fine. I mean, I don't play around with fire, but I'll tell you, I do enjoy fire. I do enjoy a great fireworks display. So we'll talk more about that, of course. You have a job to do, though, so you have to make it official. So reach into that envelope over there and pull out the next episode. What are we at, Ronnie?
Well, thank you, Simon. We are at episode 292.
292, episode number 292. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And Simon is, of course, American Idol, so.
Thank you. I guess I'd be comparable to Simon then. All right, then.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, no, I'm the jerk. That's okay. But anyhow, hey, Ronnie said it. I didn't. Ronnie said it. I may have said the word. I may have said the word jerk, but Ronnie said it. She meant it. All right. Ronnie, yeah, happy 4th of July. And,
you too.
This is a day I love because I'm a fireworks lover. I really am. It's in my neck of the woods. It's you go to the 4th of July fireworks in your town. For my case, it's Summit. Then a couple of weeks later, on the 16th of July, there's another fireworks display that's about 10 times the quality of what my town puts on, and it's the Mount Carmel Festival over in Berkeley Heights, and that's probably the best fireworks display in New Jersey, bar none. There's nothing that comes even close to that. I look forward to that a lot. So I like a good fireworks display. You, on the other hand, you live in Nebraska. you're allowed to fire them off yourself without getting, cuffs placed on you. So
Yeah.
what's up with that? Have you been hearing a couple of M80s, M whatever going off? Have you been hearing a couple of fireworks going off, some bottle rockets? What?
Oh, it sounds like the Third World War out here in my front yard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ever since my birthday, because around here there's 3 weeks time span that you get to shoot fireworks off.
Right.
It starts on my birthday. That's when the fireworks dance starts. And it ends, a week after 4th of July. So the whole entire time, this is what you're going to hear.
Yeah.
Is this. But yeah, last night was M80s, the whole shebang. It was like World War III going on.
Yeah, I haven't heard one yet. I haven't heard one firework off. Usually, as we approach the 4th of July, I hear at least one going off. Usually the morning of. They throw off practice shells over, at the field because they want to make sure nothing goes wrong. I mean, any town that hosts a fireworks display, you'll notice there's tons of fire trucks around, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
More than likely a tree's going to catch on fire. You'll notice that. I mean, they want to make sure that everything's safe. They want to make sure. Sometimes I wonder, are they really too close to where the people in the front are sitting? Because they're right underneath, and there are shells that will fly. They'll fall on the ground. They have to fall somewhere.
Yeah,
so
what goes up will come down.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's the thing. At Berkeley Heights, if you're lucky, you kind of jump over the fence. You could kind of pick up the used shells and so forth and bring them home. But yeah.
Like here, we usually have the big display, usually down by the river. You can go down to the river and watch this huge Omaha puts on a huge display.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's all underwater. You can't even get to it.
So they're not going to have it.
I will not see a huge fireworks display this year.
That's sad. That's unfortunate. So Omaha, that's obviously the big city in Nebraska. They're underwater. The whole city's underwater, or just
Not
parts
the whole
of it?
city. Just the eastern portions are all underwater.
In other words, the part that happens to host the fireworks display.
Yeah,
that's that. That's so sad. That's so unfortunate. I'm so sorry. That. Because you've been talking about this the last few shows about the floods in Nebraska, and I can only imagine how bad it must be.
I'll tell you how bad it is. My graduation's coming up, and my mother, my grandfather, brother, all of them cannot come up to my graduation because all the roads are closed.
I can't believe that. I mean, I believe it, but I just can't. I can't believe the sight of it because of the amount of time it's taken for the floodwaters to recede. Wow. I mean, we get floods here in New Jersey, clearly, but I live on a hill, and floodwaters we don't get floods really in Summit. But in New Jersey, there are places that do get bad floods. Down less than about maybe 35, 40 minutes, Bound Brook gets a lot of water in New Jersey. I mean, when they get rain, forget it. The banks, they rise, the rivers rise, and it's an ocean. So
yeah, the Tri-State area is pretty flat when you get near the river. So all of those towns, plus several levees have broken, dams have broken, and they're not expecting anything to actually start receding until about October.
Right. Well, you're more than welcome to come to Summit, Ronnie, if you want to check out some fireworks. Open invitation.
Okay.
As anyone else too. If you'd like to come to Summit, open invitation. Come on and check out some fireworks. We put on a pretty good fireworks display. I mean, then again, it's kind of I guess what's the perfect word to use? Anticlimactic, maybe. I guess because we're looking forward to the July 16th fireworks in Berkeley Heights.
Yeah.
Most people that go to the town, they're just their 4th of July town fireworks. They're like, yeah, this is good. It's fun, but the July 16th, there's nothing like the Mount Carmel fireworks. They're the same providers that put on the Red Bank fireworks, the Kaboom on the Navesink, which is comparable to what goes on in Berkeley Heights, which is also another awesome fireworks display, right on the Navesink River. It's beautiful. But you go, you enjoy the 4th of July fireworks, you have a nice barbecue, and then you look forward to the July 16th ones. And I can't wait. I'll have my video camera in hand. I'll be videotaping the fireworks, and you'll more than likely see them. So Looking forward to that. I absolutely am. But that's right. Happy Independence Day to those of you that celebrate it. And yes, a show right here on the 4th of July. We've got so much to talk about. We have so much on the itinerary for this 292nd episode of the show. So what do you say we get into the first item right here? We're going to talk about regrets. And, you know, I could tell you one thing that I when I talk about regrets, and it's amazing that a study like this was brought up because I happen to be American, last time I checked. And this study shows that when Americans think of regrets, the love portion of the regrets tops the list, which is interesting because I've had regrets, and I think we all do at one point or another, even if you're not American, that you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend if you're the opposite sex, or if you're gay, whatever you choose to be. I think we all at one point or another remember at least one of our past relationships. You may be broken up, but you remember that past relationship. You remember the good times you have. Or you go so far as to saying, I regret dumping that person. I regret breaking up with that person. Has that ever happened to you? Because I tell you, it's happened to me before. At the time, girl may have smoked. I couldn't take it. Well, she was cute. She just smoked. She was nice, but she smoked. I couldn't get past that. Or maybe one of the girls was a little heavy, and I put too much emphasis on that, and then I found out, well, there was more than just her being a little heavy. There was more to her, such as personality and so forth. Sometimes you may sound like a jerk I may sound like a jerk saying that, but so many people, that may be the reason they break up with somebody. That little detail right there, too heavy, smoking. Some are more, place more emphasis than others, but I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I have a regret because one of the guys I used to date seemed to be more interested in his car. That was his first love, was the car, not me or anybody else. That became the first thing in their life, and it was like, I can't compete against metal. Yeah. There was just no way. I regret that.
Yeah, Ronnie, that's interesting that you bring that up because somebody that I know had a similar situation where a guy was so into his car, spent no time paying attention to the girl, nothing, because he was so addicted to what was under his hood, how his car looked, cleaned it 5,000 times a day. So that's hard to compete with, that is, because, how can I put this, materialistic things, it's the same through anything else. Even if you're dating somebody that's a computer nerd, even somebody that loves computers, they spend more time playing World of Warcraft. They spend more time opening up their computer, building a new one, doing this, doing that. They never spend time with the person they're dating, the person they're with. They may have an interest in building a computer. They may have an interest in gaming. But what about the girl that you're dating? What about the guy you're dating? I mean, you got to kind of place a line between that. There's a balance. You can enjoy what you do as a hobby, but there's another part of your life waiting for you that's also fun and can be quite enjoyable, actually. So, the World of
Warcraft comes into mind very well because a friend of mine who's married, husband is completely engulfed in World of Warcraft. So when he gets off work, where's the first place he goes? Boom, the computer, and stays there until it's time to go to bed.
That's unfortunate because I had somebody on my show, on a session with JJ, the show that I host. His name is Ryan Van Cleve. He wrote a great book called Unplugged, and he was addicted to WoW. He was addicted to World of Warcraft to the point where he was literally standing on a bridge about to kill himself. It became so bad that he couldn't take it until he realized he needed to change his life around. He needed to switch it around. This is a friggin' game. This is fake money, for gosh sakes here. Virtual currency, fake characters, real people, fake characters, though. It's a game. So he had to place his own amount of emphasis on the fact that he has a life to live. He changed it around. Great book. Awesome book. I've read it a few times. I can't wait to have him on again. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I love WoW. You love WoW. We don't live on WoW, though. We have other things to do. We do a show. We have homework. We have our lives. But we enjoy WoW on our free time. And if any of us goes too far, more than likely we would let each other know we would be going too far. But it's very easy for a game like that to take you over. It's very easy for a hobby to take you over. Whether it's your car, whether it's you building a computer, whether you enjoy collecting bottles, for gosh sakes. A hobby can take you over when you, say, have a love interest. And listen, your love interest, I don't care how much he or she loves you, they ain't going to stay around forever. I don't give a damn how much they love you. They won't. If you place a mark on what you're doing as a hobby over your girlfriend or your boyfriend, they're going to get rid of you. And you know what? More than likely you're going to regret it because you didn't dump them. They dumped you.
I hope not. I know that with mine, I put school period for 4 years. I haven't been outside of the studio.
Right.
So I've turned down and I just cannot. I regret that I did put some of my school I had before my social life, but that's coming to an end. But that is probably a regret. I think that is the biggest regret that we have out there. Is that.
Honey, do not regret it whatsoever. I applaud what you're doing. I do. I applaud what you're doing. You know, while it may be a bit of a boring lifestyle you're leading, I applaud what you're doing because you're sacrificing. You're a beautiful girl. You could get any guy in the world, any guy. You're clearly, sacrificing that to focus on bettering your life. You're going to school. You have an interest in broadcasting. You're channeling certain parts of your life. So I applaud you. Don't regret it whatsoever. You may have personal regrets that I could have had this good-looking guy. I could have had this good-looking guy, but I chose bettering my life over that. Don't regret it though. I mean, you might have personal regrets, but if you know what I mean, you might have personal regrets, but don't regret it in that you're ashamed of it. In other words, because don't be. You shouldn't.
Well, I've watched everybody else's life go forward. They've moved on and done this and done that, and I'm still here.
I'm living a similar life. I'm running a network. I'm going to school. I just over the last week started emailing people on a dating site. Just a week ago. Just started emailing females. I think I got a couple of responses that I have to check out. And you play the dating game. You see, you go, you date, and you see where you're gonna go. I'm happy with where I'm at in school. I'm happy with where I'm at on this, as the founder of this network. So now I want to be happy with somebody. So I think it's in stages. That's how I live my life, in stages, rather than piling it all on at the same time. Those of you that know me know that's exactly how I am. I'm very stage-centric. I am, because I like to do one thing, and then I'll focus on another, then I'll focus on another. I used to be, let's pile everything up, and let's overload myself and burn out. No, that's not the way to go with, go forth, with it. No, go through with it. No, not good. So I think that, I think when we talk about regrets, getting back to regrets, we kind of got a little off, topic a bit. But going into regrets, I think regardless of whether it's love or if you regret not, studying for a test or anything, we all have some form of regret in our lives that kind of haunt us a bit, that kind of bother us inside, I
think we do. We regret telling somebody something, whether it's goodbye, and that was the last time we see them, they pass away, or we regret the I love yous, or you regret to tell somebody that, you're interested in them, all of that. And we intend on living with that. We have to live with that for the rest of our life. And I think that becomes a really huge regret as we get older. But I think sometimes we do actually get over that part of it. Something comes into our lives. But I don't think I think it's I don't know what you would call it, a lesson that you learn, and you learn to advance through that and move on to the next part of it.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting. You bring that up, a lesson that we learned, because, you know, a regret, because more than likely, if it's a regret, you're not going to be able to relive those moments in terms of your regret. More than likely. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, because there are times where, all right, you may have regretted telling your boss off at work, you're fired, you miss your job, but you get your job back. That's an example right there. Another example that wouldn't work necessarily was you regret breaking up with somebody you loved, and they won't take you back as much as you want them back. You could beg, you can plead, you can cajole, whatever you want. They're not going to take you back. And, you know, it's just it's the everlasting circle that continues, really, if you think about it. And I bring that the circle metaphor up because there's always that chance. There's always that chance that even though you regret something, you may be able to get that regret back. You know? It'll come full circle. What goes around comes around. And I truly believe that. I do. I really do. I truly believe that. What goes around comes around. If you're going to do something good will happen to you. If you're going to do something bad, well, then that regret can turn into something even worse, maybe, which would not be good, which would suck for you.
Yeah.
You know?
But sometimes the things that we regret are usually something that's probably not meant for us to begin with. I mean, if you think about it, let's say you're in a relationship that is an abusive relationship, but you want that person no matter what. You know, that's a regret you need to go back on and think of, and remember that you need to put yourself first in that particular relationship. In any relationship, really, you need to put yourself with what's best for you and what is the worth of your own self. So I think that some of those regrets might be like, you know, being able to tell somebody off, that you didn't stand up for yourself, you didn't push them away when you should have.
You know,
I think we all have a lot of based on our choices.
That's also very interesting you bring that up, because a regret might be able to lead you in a better direction even. Because you bring up an abusive relationship. You can't get out of that relationship. That there are certain triggers telling you should be out of this relationship, but you may regret doing this, you may regret doing that, but it might be a regret that will point you in another direction, the direction you should be going if you're in a relationships that's, say, abusive. Because clearly you shouldn't be in it if it's abusive. So that's interesting that you do bring that up. I want to go over some of the numbers here. I do. And then we're going to go into the associations part of the show. Talking about the study here that was conducted when Americans think of regrets, love tops the list. Now, researchers at Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign surveyed 370 adults aged 19 to 103 years old. Yeah. About the regrets. Probably only one person above the age of like 80. Each was asked to describe in detail one decision they came to rue. Now get this, about 18% cited regrets involving romance, clearly as love tops the list. Now that was followed closely by regrets about their family, 16%, education, 13%, career, 12%, their finances at 10%, and parenting at 9%. Parenting, isn't that interesting? Parenting
It'd be a lot higher than 9%.
Well, yeah, but isn't it interesting that say, for instance, you know, you brought up how parenting's at the end of the list and so forth, that it isn't maybe closer to romance, because how many times as a parent do you regret saying something to your kid? As a parent, you're doing your job by punishing or, you know, maybe teaching your kids right from wrong, but you know, you regret some of the things you say because you may have been too harsh, perhaps too harsh on them, but maybe you shouldn't have punished them the way you did. It goes a long way as a parent. You're trying to be the best parent you can, but you're going to make decisions in life, and I'm not a parent yet. You're going to make decisions in life that are going to, you're going to question. You're going to question and then regret, clearly. But it's at the bottom of the list.
Because kids don't come with a book, you know?
No.
So you don't know if what you're doing is right or wrong.
Right.
You're doing the best you can at the moment.
Yeah. So that's why it is interesting. It is at the bottom of the list. I mean, I could see, at least it's on the list, I would have assumed it would have been closer to the top.
Yeah.
But it is on the list at 9% out of 370 adults, age 19 to 103. And here's something for you. Women were more likely than men to have regrets about romance or family relationships. Get that? I could see.
Probably the emotional aspect.
Absolutely. Well, of course. Well, I'm not going to say. The fact of the matter here is that you've got women that may cling on to things more than males. They regret something. They may remember a past relationship they were in more than a male. I'm a guy, and there have been times where I've remembered the good times I've had with past, relationships with past girlfriends. But not going to say that I am indicating me having more of say, an emotional breakdown than, than you having one about a past relationship or any other female or so forth. It just so happens that women may cling on to more things than males, and that plays a part in something like this.
Well, but it's interesting, two people could be in the same relationship. They both see things differently.
Well, absolutely, but that also plays part in the fact that women might be more emotional than men. Right then and there, that plays part in it. You're going to see things differently. Emotion can cloud somebody's judgment immensely. It can. Mm-hmm. So, regardless of whether you're a guy or a gal. So that's probably why the number's at 44%. Or I think it was, about 44% of the regrets described by women were about relationship mistakes compared to 19% of men. So there you have it. It's very interesting to see that number there. All right. We do have to go into the associations. That's right. This part of the show where Ronnie and I, we associate something with the current episode number. If you're new to the show, well, hopefully you'll enjoy this part. But before we get into it, I believe it's time to thank our sponsor. Yeah, this portion of the 292nd episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net Network. Now listen up, ladies and gentlemen, because Ronnie and I have a great deal for each and every one of you, and there's no risk involved. You don't have to spend a single dime. No, you don't. Audible's home to over 85,000 audiobooks. That is right, 85,000 and counting, always adding great audiobooks to their service. Really the premier service on the web. Nobody's competing with them because they're the best. And the thing is, the audiobook experience, the auditory experience is one in itself because you could close your eyes and enjoy your favorite book. Can't do that with a traditional book, paperback, can you? Nah, unless you're really talented. But we'll give you one free audiobook and a 14-day free trial to browse. The audiobooks offered at Audible. All you have to do to take advantage of this great offer is go to audibletrial.com/take2. That is audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this offer. You'll be glad you did. So even if you're not an avid reader, more than likely, I think you enjoy listening to stuff or watching stuff. Yeah, that's fun. Rather than the visual effect, you get the auditory effect. Try it out. audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of your free audiobook and your 2-week free trial. Be glad you did. As always, we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net Network. All right, on this Independence Day show, Ronnie, what do you got for us? You have any associations over there for us?
Well, Dr. Greg Forbes from the Weather Channel affirmed that this past April of 2011 set a new record for confirmed tornadoes. So right now the record is at 292, which beat out the old record of 267.
You know, I read that article. It was on, what was it, CNN or was it MSNBC? Was it CNN or MSNBC? MSNBC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I read that article, actually. And this was back in April. And that the record was set back. And you were told, we talked about it on the show, too, I think. Talked about the mate, because you're addicted to tornadoes. We know how much you love them.
Yeah. No regrets there.
No regrets there. Absolutely. Not for you, at least. Maybe for those that may have just lost their house. How's this? All right, I'm going to place a scenario. I'm going to place this in you a scenario. And right, I got to learn how to speak. Come on now. I'm going to place you in a scenario, Ronnie, okay? If you lost your beautiful $1,000 computer, your house was maybe half gone, in the next county, and you suffered an injury. Would you still have regrets? Would you still not have regrets experiencing that? Maybe as you see it now, beautiful F5 tornado, but maybe not so much after the fact.
Maybe not so much after the fact.
See?
But, I can't stop them.
See?
So.
She says maybe. She hasn't experienced it yet. If she experiences it.
2 years ago, when I went through my backyard, took my roof. That was as close as I've lost property for.
I wouldn't know. I live in New Jersey, far away from Tornado Alley.
That's why you should go to Nebraska and experience this stuff.
I plan on it. I would love to go to Nebraska. I really would. I'd love to see a tornado. Far away though. Yeah, I would like to go to Nebraska and witness Tornado Alley. Because when I was younger, I was probably just as enthusiastic as you are now. From seeing a tornado. I'm serious. I had every mini weather kit you could think of. I would hope a tornado would fall in New Jersey all the time in my town. Never happened though, in my lifetime, as of right now. But yeah, I loved weather, and I still do. I'm not as enthused as I once was, as much as you are. So yeah, but we hope that you never have to experience the negatives of a tornado. You can enjoy watching them, chasing them. Just don't be sucked up into the sky and, end up 3 counties over, all right? Please.
Yeah.
That would be
unexpected trip.
Right. We don't want that to happen. But yes, back in April of 2011, 292 tornadoes were counted. Pretty amazing to see that outbreak.
Compared to usually the number ranges about 163 for April.
Yeah. Somebody in our chat room stated that they'd like to be close to one of them. Are you still gonna feel that way, buddy? If you say I place you in the same scenario I placed Ronnie in, answer that for me. I've got an association for you. This has to do with New York, and how about this? If you were to find out one of the hospitals you are going to be attending or say staying in had hundreds of foreign objects left inside of patients, how would you feel then if you were about to have surgery? Probably not. Right. Well, in 2008, 2009, this happens to be in New York. I believe this has to do with all of the hospitals combined. This is malpractice and accidents and so forth. 292 foreign objects were left inside of patients in the 2008-2009 year.
I want to know how you do that.
Listen, if I'm a surgeon and some of these contraptions are so little, you may be sewing somebody up and leaving that little half-inch contraption in somebody's bowel, and then you're trying to go to the bathroom. You're wondering why it won't come out. Something's blocking
that scalpel.
Imagine
How
that.
do you do that? But you also have nurses that count it. I mean, did I miss counting?
Yeah.
What goes in will come out. Essentially.
I guess if it's small enough, I guess it will come out that end. Yeah, you
hope somehow.
You hope. You don't. Then again, it'd be best if they don't drop things inside of you. That sounded so wrong.
That would help. Or you know what? Go with one of those magnets and go over it to see if anything goes onto it.
Yeah. All right, Ronnie. What about a funny law? Do you have any funny laws for us?
I confirmed this one with one of our chatters in the room, as a matter of fact. In Huntington, West Virginia, it is legal to beat your wife so long as it is done in public and on Sunday in front of the courthouse steps. That is City Ordinance, Chapter 48, 1-292.
You know why they want to do that? Now in New Jersey, that wouldn't fly. Well, West Virginia, I guess so. But I guess what they want to do is they want to make sure that the beater doesn't go too far. Listen, I'm against that.
You're closer to jail if you just did the courthouse steps.
Well, yeah, that would be in a state that actually would put you in jail for beating the person you're in love with, or so-called in love with. Clearly not in West Virginia, though. Wow.
Yeah, as long as it's on public, and it must be on Sunday. Yeah, any other day of the week, it's going to fly.
some of these laws I can't believe, but they are there. They're there.
That's it.
You can always count on Ronnie to provide. We could always count on her to provide us with the funny laws out there, or the laws that seem so not real, but they're there. All right, we do have to go into Ronnie's stamp of reparation. That is right. This portion of the show, Ronnie. We feature Ronnie, that is right, as she talks about something she may be against, or something that she can't stand, or she feels that should be the exact opposite. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to find out what she has to say right now. For episode number 292, Ronnie, honey, you got the mic.
I am appalled with this one. Right back up to New York. We're going to Brooklyn with this one. We have an inmate who's Gerald Domond, who happened to be a convicted killer. Get this. He actually was sentenced 25 years to life. Most likely he will not come out of the prison system because of his age presently right now. Right. But he was convicted of killing a man in 1987. Now, get this. His sister, his family, decided, you know what, they don't like the name inmate. They think that it implies that their brother, yes, their brother, is locked up for the sole purpose of mating with other men. Okay?
Hey, to each their own.
Are you kidding me? Inmate name has always been in the system for as long as I can remember, and now all of a sudden you've got one nitwit that comes along and decides that all of a sudden this inmate means that you're having sex with other males. Really, what does it mean if you're an inmate?
Wait. Do drop the soap in this guy's case.
She's going after them for $50 million for mental anguish.
Well, gee, I wonder why. Maybe it has to do with you had something shoved up your rectum. Perhaps that's why you need a mental.
Yeah. Now, what happened to the frivolous lawsuits? I think the family that this guy killed a member of another family, but maybe they should sue her for mental anguish. I wonder if she would like to have that. I think that's almost kind of like having something shoved up somewhere.
Right.
If the other the victim's family comes up and gets her.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, she's going to screw our system up.
I'm just saying that it's not out of the ordinary that if somebody has been compromised, shall we say, it's not out of the ordinary that they seek a mental analysis or something along the lines of that.
She needs a mental analysis.
I guess so.
$50 million. First of all, where is she going to get this? She's going to sue every single person, because the inmate is a word that is referred to those that are in prison. Remember, maybe she would like us to refer to him as a cold-blooded killer.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Just think about what it's going to be like when he gets out. What kind of mental anguish is that going to be for the family that he killed? Oh, come on. This is really killing me that she's able to go out there and sue for stupidity because she calls it an emotional and psychological well-being. She is a psychological nut job if she's going out there because she thinks a name that he's been in prison for quite some time, and all of a sudden the inmate name just appalls her. What she'd like for them to be called.
Well,
I would like to hear her theory.
Well, usually somebody that's in jail, I would consider an inmate.
Inmate.
Right. Mm-hmm. Inmate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually.
She thinks that means mating with other men.
Apparently so.
Well, 24 years in prison. Maybe you are. I don't know.
Maybe it becomes to the point that the name will force you to act now. And, yeah. Perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he's just looking for a mate. He likes the name she. All of a sudden, she doesn't like the fact that,
inmate.
He's something better.
Inmate, let's mate. Inmate, let's mate. Okay. I guess I could see some sort of resemblance, perhaps, but
yeah,
that's what mental analysis is.
Feelings to be called an inmate.
Like I said, do drop the soap then in this person's case, because they don't know the difference between inmate and let's mate. Then clearly they won't have a problem with the latter.
Yeah. So since it hurts her feelings, and he's really hurt. Oh, boo-hoo. Notice no tears coming out of my eyes.
No.
That he doesn't want to be called an inmate, so I'm not sure what he wants to be called, but I think cold-blooded killer pretty much puts on the line.
Yeah, I think cold-blooded killer fills the sheet quite a bit. You know how I feel about killers and so forth. 25 years to life? Well, that's innocent. That seems like it's not harsh, does it? Seriously.
Yeah, especially when he's going to be coming up for parole. I doubt he will get it. This is New York. New York is pretty harsh on probation and parole in 2013. So maybe he'll find a new word for himself.
Perhaps. Thank you. Thank you for your stamp. Very interesting. Very, interesting. Yeah. All right, we got to go to the break on this 292nd episode of Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network, the Independence Day show. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. We've got so much coming up. You really don't want to go anywhere. What we're going to talk about during the second segment, exclamation points. Yeah. You know, you're sending an email to somebody. Have you ever thought beforehand, before writing a sentence, typing a sentence out, whether you're going to maybe use 1, 2, 3, 4, or more exclamation points in that sentence? Do people take you as serious as if you were to maybe place 1 rather than 4 or 10? How much emphasis do we place on the format of an email as, say, opposed to a school paper or an article that you're writing that needs to be grammatically correct and correct punctuation and so forth? I'm a writer, and regardless of whether it's an email, an IM, I'm going to usually, a text message, I'm going to write out a sentence the way it's supposed to be written out. Semicolon, colon, slash, you name it. But there are people that feel that, well, it's just an email. It's just a text. Well, we're going to talk about whether there's a limit to the amount of exclamation points that should be used in an email. Because, seriously, we're trying to transmit a message via email. How far should one go? We're going to find out what Ronnie has to say. I've got quite a bit to add to this as well, and we might add another thing to the itinerary, something a bit different, perhaps. Also, your blast from the past coming up at the end of the program, so you don't want to go anywhere. That's right, on this 292nd episode of the show, Ronnie and I return right after the break, so stay tuned. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to episode number 292 of the show. That is right, Ronnie and I have returned for more. We've got so much to talk about, so little time, so we're going to get to what we're going to be going into on this special Independence Day show. We happen to be doing a show on, the 4th of July. But yes, we'll get into everything. That is right, the exclamation points, emphasis, how many, exclamation points do you use in an email? Do you care? Do you place a limit on the amount? Well, there's an interesting article we're going to be basing the discussion off of. Your blast from the past is also coming up at the end of the program. But before we get into all of that, if all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, please visit www.vonthenet.com. That's right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information regarding this network here. Yeah. In order to find that information out, all you have to do is go up to the top of the website, click the About link, and it will take you to the web page, providing you everything you need to know pertaining to this network, the Voices on the Net Network, and in thorough detail. So it's a great guide for those of you that are new to the network, you don't know much about it. Totally recommend you check that out. You could also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they're all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. Everything can be checked out, articles, my blog. It's all at www.vonthenet.com. All right, Ronnie, so I couldn't get the story up. I was having trouble getting the story up, so I was kind of basing it off of what you were saying, and I was kind of mixed up. You were saying the inmate was having things shoved up his rear, or somebody assumed he
assumed.
Okay.
His sister assumed.
Because I looked up another story during the break, and I kind of feel like an idiot because this guy was not having sex with anybody. Somebody was assuming because of the word inmate that it's let's mate. I kind of got confused with that. All right, well, even though, regardless, well, who knows what he's doing.
So,
yeah, I guess it would kind of be connected in some way or another, but we won't go any further than that. I already did before. But yeah, I couldn't get the story up. It wasn't
Maybe
loading.
The cherry bomb. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't load for me. But I just wanted to get that out. I didn't want to seem like a total idiot. Trying to listen, I'm hearing mate and prison. I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Call it whatever you want. But hey, like I said in the first segment, to each their own. Right? But, then again, you don't have really much to choose from in prison. You don't.
You really don't.
You really don't, no.
It's Bubba or Jimbo.
So you're going to either have to choose between Bubba or Jimbo. That's it.
That's right.
So take your pick. Pick your poison. I don't know. All right. Well, thankfully I got that out. It was bugging me all break, and I'm surprised nobody brought it up because I'm saying one thing, you're saying another. I'm trying to wonder what's going on here. Now I get the story. I understand it. I checked it out. I looked up another article online.
I like your version better, though.
I thought it was funny.
It would sound really cute, though, on the witness stand.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. He added a little taste to it. May have went a little far for the show, but
taste is not a word.
What are you gonna do? Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a lot to talk about during the second segment, so why don't we start things off with this here. Exclamation points. And we've talked about emoticons. We've talked about punctuation before. So it all kind of goes in one, if you think about it. Because some people totally dazzle out their emails with emoticons and, excessive use of exclamation points. And sometimes it's so painful to read. It goes too far. It's what are you trying to shout at me? Are you trying to get my attention? Or are you trying to be perceived as a total lunatic because, you're using a lot of exclamation points? Where's the limit? Where's the limit to how many you should use in an email? Ronnie, when you type out an email to, say, somebody that you're working with in school, or say a friend, do you place a limit on the amount of, say, exclamation points you could use? One versus the other? Or is it all simply, listen, it's an email. I'm simply trying to get a message across as quick as I can. I don't care. I'm going to just, if I have to shout, I'm going to use 50 million exclamation points and that's it. Do you place a limit on the amount you use in an email? Or is it just, forget it, do you place a limit or do you just go all out?
I don't even think that I had a limit until I read this story. Because when I write to a friend, if I'm writing to a friend in an email, I consider that different than if I'm writing to somebody that's in class. Because in class, that's an educational field. So I'm more cautious about what I write and put into an email at that point.
Right.
To show that, I'm not stupid or anything. But for the friend, they know how I am, and I'm kind of just, I had to give up my emoticons, and now look, my explanation points are being attacked.
Exclamation.
They're being attacked, JJ.
Right.
But no, usually when I write with a friend, I do not limit them. I don't even count them. It just depends on what's coming out at the time, and I put them in there just for emphasis.
And it's writing is interesting because people have their own. They may word something the way they word it. It may not make as much sense to somebody that's reading it, but they understand it. Yet they're going to be ridiculed because they use that specific word. And in this article, they really use the perfect term for writing, an imperfect medium. It is. It really is an imperfect medium for relaying the human voice because when you're talking to somebody, you're face-to-face with somebody, you could shout at them, you can make a sad face, you could smile, you can laugh. You have all of these emotions somebody can see and hear you. Rather than if you're on the internet, it's not that way. So the addition of, say, emoticons, exclamation points, a punctuation, in other words, allows you to get your message across in a comparable way to if you were to talk to somebody. That's the common sense way around it. Here's a way that is a bit different. A bit more emphasized, in my opinion, because as a writer, I know how to construct a sentence in a plethora of different ways. without using excessive exclamation points or excessive punctuation. You can construct a sentence without using more than one exclamation point and still shout or get your message across with the proper word usage. It's how you word a sentence. It's how you construct that sentence. Now, there's also a difference between, for instance, you starting off a letter. And say I'm starting off a letter, and normally if I'm trying to get your attention in real life, I'm going to be like, Ronnie, over here, like that. I'll start off the letter, say Ronnie, exclamation point. I'll start it off with that, rather than me simply saying, oh, Ronnie, shut up. You know what I mean? There's a difference between me starting the sentence or letter with Ronnie, exclamation point, versus me telling you or somebody to shut up and then an exclamation point. You're going to take that second one as an insult. Or not an insult, but you're going to take that to heart. You're going to be upset. You're not going to be upset if I say Ronnie, exclamation point, though, at the beginning of a letter. No, because I'm obviously trying to get your attention. Then I start the letter off.
Well, right. But, if you're writing just to a friend and they know who you are, how you talk, that's how they talk, and you just kind of carry on a conversation like that way, especially if you're in chat. You do the same thing. You just kind of, hey, girl, whatever, what's up? And then you just go on about your merry way and typing along. They tend to know, they know you. But if you're typing to somebody that doesn't know you and you're trying to impress them in a different way, that's another ballgame. Of course, I wouldn't use exclamation points, period, at all in that type, especially if it's going to be like a job correspondence or with your academic counselor. None of that do I put in there. Actually, then I get down to real business and do it the normal way as a responsive with somebody of that type of rank. But if it's just a friend, an acquaintance sort of thing, I don't pay attention to how many I put in there. Yeah. No, I'm not going to be doing it anymore.
Yeah. I want to target this right here because it's interesting. I'm coming up with this. How do you say it? How do you say
exclamation?
Okay, I thought you said it explanation point because I was just
explanation.
Yeah, I thought you were saying explanation point. I'm like, why is she saying explanation point? All right, exclamation. I'm just saying that was because I heard it the way I heard it. I'm
you draw one?
Interesting. That's a new one that I've never heard before. I like it, but it's new. I've never heard it before. But yeah, no, absolutely. You bring up a good point, Ronnie, because if somebody is, say, you know them versus somebody that you don't necessarily know, you don't want to come across as rude. You don't want to come across as a jerk. You don't. And excessive usage of exclamation points will come, well, basically if you're maybe new to the person or you don't know them, might perceive you as that because you're shouting. And that's the perception of an exclamation point in a sentence. Really, you're trying to emphasize or shout at somebody. And you might want to choose your punctuation marks wisely when you're writing an email. It's just like if you're writing an email to a boss. You're probably going to give that a once-over about 4 times before you send that email to your boss. Because you want to make sure it's worded properly. You want to make sure that the correct punctuation's used. Because you don't want your boss to say, this person can't write. Nah, he's not right for me. Not right for me to hire. Because they want somebody that knows how to, basic grammar, basic punctuation and so forth. Use a dash, use a period, use an exclamation point where you're supposed to. You're not going to use 50 exclamation points if you're in one sentence. I'm talking about if you're emailing your boss. You're not. It's just not going to happen. I don't care who you are. If you are, well, you can kiss that job goodbye because it's not going to work out. That's not how you do it.
It's true because, when I had to do nursing notes, there was you used no types of punctuation to stress emotion unless it was something that a patient had said. And then you go on and then you switch that to the military codes that you have to write. Again, no form of punctuation or expression of feelings or emotions. And then onto the police reports to where it's a whole different ball game, a whole nother level. And still, you're not allowed to put in those types of punctuation marks, especially if you're going to be called to court or anything like that. But if a witness would come in and say something directly to you as the officer, then you either had to use the correct punctuation marks, because if you didn't, and the witness is on the stand and said, I said it in this specific way, or another witness heard another person say this based on the hearsay evidence, you're called out just because it's in a report and you put the wrong, the explanation point should not have been there. Maybe it should have been a continuation. But to answer to that, they ended up getting rid of all of that type of emotional writing. So it almost becomes to the point where you're dumbed down to where you just do not put it in there anymore. You do it so often, you forget that there is other ways of expressing, emotion within even a report.
I'm telling you, you're saying explanation point.
Exclamation.
I'm telling you. You're going to listen back to this. You're going to listen back to this. You'll be like, JJ's right. I'm saying explanation point, son of a gun. It's crazy. But yeah, you can probably look up, plenty of articles. You could probably look at, maybe analyze your emails and determine whether or not you use maybe proper punctuate. But then again, what's proper punctuation again? Proper punctuation. Are you, say, allowed to go a little bit further just because it's an email? Again, I brought up before, it's an email. You're trying to transmit a message. It's a convenient way of transmitting a message. Convenient in terms of you maybe buy your computer and not buy a phone, or B, you are more comfortable behind a computer. Maybe you are shy. You don't want to call this individual because maybe you haven't talked to them before, so you email them first, even though many would agree. However, I'm kind of not on the same bandwagon as those that agree that email is less professional than a phone call. Personally, do you agree with me there, or are you kind of in disagreement? Do you feel email is, if somebody emails you, do you take that as an insult over a phone call, or do you say, no, I don't mind, it's still a communication, they're getting through to me just as if they would if they were to call me? How do you feel about that?
I don't mind emails. I mean, versus call me on the phone. Email's fine with me as long as some information is getting crossed and I'm understanding the message.
Yeah, because people do feel that if they're emailed over a phone call, they take it as an insult. I'm telling you. For instance, if you're trying to, an example. All right, and I want to bring this up because I'm glad you brought that up specifically. Say you're trying to go for a job, and your boss has, or the company has, an email, yet you have their phone number. What are you going to do? Phone them, or are you going to email them?
Well, I would have to figure out who it was that was in charge, but I would probably email them.
Really?
Because most of the time that I have learned from my experience when going out job hunting or anything, they don't want to be bothered. They will answer the emails at their time, at their pace. And you're calling them, you're interfering in work that they're doing something else, they have to stop, answer the phone. And so I'll introduce myself via email.
Wow. I'm very, now, maybe I shouldn't be as shocked as I am now because you stated, no, I don't place importance on one or the other. It's a form of communication. I use that. Now, along with me, you already know how I feel about it. Yeah, I don't mind email as communication because, in my opinion, and I'm serious, and this may not be the case with everybody. It may not be the case with everybody because some people, if they talk, it's obviously real time. Email's not real time. If you're talking via a cell phone or a home phone or whatever, a business phone, it's just a phone to somebody else, you're forced to think off the cuff. You're forced to think of what you're going to say. Rather, with an email, you could sit there for an hour and construct the perfect sentence or the perfect paragraph, the perfect message, in other words. I think that's so powerful. I do. Because not only are you not thinking off the cuff, and listen, because it gets better, you're researching words you're going to use in that email that are going to be retained while you're researching them. They're now being literally jilted into your brain, I would hope. You're researching them. You're learning new words, maybe using a thesaurus, a dictionary, to learn the meanings of new words. And you're constructing a message. Now you've learned plenty of words by constructing that email, as opposed to talking to somebody where you can't go to a thesaurus while you're talking to somebody. You can't. You can, but it's a lot more difficult. You got to hope that they're talking, so it gives you a chance to construct your sentence before they end theirs. The interlocutor. Yeah, I love email. I think email's great. I think it's a great form of communication because you're going to get more out of somebody in an email, I think. I do, because they're going to have more time to construct it. Now, the difference between an email and a phone call is if I have you on the phone, I may catch you off guard because, well, you don't have any time to construct what you want to say. So if I catch you and I back you into a corner, you're now going to be forced to interact. You're now going to be forced to respond with something that you may have not responded with if you say emailed that same response.
Right. Plus, when you're phoning somebody, talking to somebody on the phone, especially if it's going to be a future boss, the background noise can be distracting. So that's not something you really want to be this person to hear what's going on in the background. Say someone's coming in the door arguing, slam, bam, dogs barking, the whole 9 yards. You don't want that interference. So that's why I usually turn to the email format when it comes to introducing myself to a potential new boss, that they're answering this on their own. But I can take several days to write an email. I put it in Microsoft Word, work it out, just so I don't have to use an afterthought. Something comes up, I can hurry up and put it in that email and then go through it, reconstruct it, redesign it the way I want it, and then poof, I can just copy paste it and put it in there.
Right. It's just, I look at it as just a way to transmit what you would normally say for a person to person or talking verbally to somebody in a way that allows you to be more detailed. And in some cases, that may come back to bite you in the rear end, because if you're expecting an email, they may leave out certain things because it's not real time. But it could also benefit you, the other side of it, because they can now they could add bullet points. They could add so much more. It's now constructed. You have a paper trail. That's the other thing. You have it. You have it in your possession. A phone call, unless you're recording it, is only as good as your memory, and that is not necessarily as good as gold, because it's your word against their word. If somebody comes back to say, listen, did he say this? Did you say that? With an email, well, that's different. Now it's it's solid. It's there. So now
I have a story.
No, go ahead.
My ex-boss, she was to a particular person that was high up in the chain. She was emailing them for a period of time. After which, she got so used to emailing, I got to teach her how to actually use her email.
Right.
So here's a person high up in the company. She's looking for a promotion. And when she received an email, she accidentally hit the wrong button and it did a mass email. So, yeah. Okay. So she didn't get the job. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but that would deserve a special punctuation mark right there. So be careful what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the other thing, because we talk about paper trails, and you may say something about somebody else, and you don't want that somebody else to know what you're saying, but that somebody else is in your contacts list, and that somebody else now has your email because you mass emailed them.
Mass email.
Yeah. Now, you better unsend that quick before they open it, which some email providers do allow you to do. If you catch it in time. Hopefully you do. Some things are just meant to be kept secret, and that's it. If what you don't know, it won't hurt you. And oh man,
yeah, this was like a dirty joke within the office.
That's why I don't rush when I'm constructing my email. I never rush. And those that have received an email, those that know me, anybody else that knows me, know when I write, I'm quite deep when I write. My sentences I probably use a few too many big terms, and I probably don't have to. It's just how I write. I like to be very detailed. I like every sentence to come across as something dramatic, something that will be, wow, this is like watching a thing of beauty, a piece of art. And And that's how I like to come across when I'm writing. I've been writing for 12 years. I've learned a lot. I mean, I live on thesource.com. I love to learn different words, different terms, and so forth. I love to educate myself. So it depends. And the thing is, some people don't have that skill, don't have that ability. Whereas if they write an email, maybe it's better off you do have them call you because they're just not professional when they write an email. Believe it or not, there are people that can verbally come across as professional but cannot type or write for their lives. They just they don't know how to use proper punctuation. Yet they know how to pause verbally. They don't know how to spell, but they know how to say the word. There's a huge line drawn between that because there are so many people that can do one very well but cannot do the other. Unfortunately.
Yeah, me.
Right?
No, I actually take the time to do that, but it just depends on who the person is that I'm trying to impress. But for the record, I love JJ's writing, so just go to the website. You'll see it all on there.
Listen, I've been criticized a lot for my writing by a lot of people. They say, "Oh, your word usage is too much, JJ. You got to stop. You got to slim it down." I don't want to slim it down. I like the way I construct my sentences.
Yeah.
First off, you choose one sentence that doesn't make sense, and you'll get me. You can't. I bet you can't. Because the word usage is just deeper than if I were to simply use a basic word. But it's constructed in a way that makes sense that if you were to compare to a more basic way to write it, it's the same thing. Same as saying the other way around. So it's just how you come across. Now, going back to some people don't have that skill. Not anything against you. It's just you may want to stay away from anything that has to do with you maybe putting that non-skill to work. Keep it the other way around. Maybe you're trying to get a job. Maybe you want to phone or call the boss rather than email them, and so forth. Until you maybe learn a few new words, how to spell those words, and how to use proper punctuation and so forth. I mean, I could tell you, I read stories, I read articles and so forth where people are placing different punctuation marks in sentences and so forth. They don't know what a semicolon is used for and so forth. They feel a semicolon is the same thing as a comma, and it's not. It really isn't. It's simply a connector of a sentence you're trying to come across as maybe descriptive and so forth. The first part of the sentence, you're detailing it by using a semicolon. Rather than a comma, you're continuing or pausing, in other words, a sentence. There's a difference between the two. And I've seen people utilize that. They will use, say, a semicolon in place of a comma. It's just not going to work out. It's not going to feel the same way. It's not. But that's the whole thing. Being grammatically correct and being punctually correct is a challenge for some people. You learn. They say the English language is the hardest language to learn, to speak and write. And I know it very well. I think Chinese or any Asian language is very hard to speak or write.
Yeah. Little drawings.
Well,
English is because we have all the inserts in there. We have slang. We have jargon.
Yeah.
A lot of other cultures don't have that.
Right. No, absolutely. Like I said, there are really what we're doing. They're symbols. These letters we're using symbols, same as Chinese or Korean or whatever. They're symbols. You're jotting these marks down on a piece of paper, whether it's an S, whether it's a symbol in another language. It's a symbol. It's just a mark. It's a symbol. So how you learn, I mean, it's very, very deep. I mean, you're going to have to learn what each one means and then how to construct a sentence from that language and so forth, just like anything else. I think what it is we know the English language because we grew up learning it, so it's easy for us. But if we were, say, Korean or Asian or some other something else, we would probably say, wow, this is difficult. I mean, because there are certain words that are that sound the same, but they mean different things.
I think besides the Spanish that they have, that the French are interjective to that, because French actually is almost a portion of the Spanish and the English language.
Right.
But they also have little perks in theirs as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, no, I didn't want to go into that because, people can speak, but they use, a semicolon in place of a comma, whereas it should be a semicolon and people will argue this all the time. They're saying there really is no difference, JJ. Yeah, there is a difference, folks. Why do you think there is a semicolon and a comma? Clearly there's a difference. Know it. Utilize it. It's great when you know how to use it. All right, let's move into the next item on the itinerary. Well, we're going to get into the next item on the. We're going to give you an extra item here briefly before heading into the blast from the past. Yeah, this one's pretty funny, actually. I want to know how this man was able to shove 6 rolls of toilet paper up his butt. I want to know how it was even possible. We'll get into that, though. I'll give you that up until the point. I have to say a few words now, though. It is time to thank our sponsor. That is right. This portion of the 292nd episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Now listen up, ladies and gentlemen, because Ronnie and I have an excellent offer for each and every one of you, and there's no risk involved because you don't have to spend a dime. You don't. Well, we're going to give you one free audiobook and a 14-day, a 2-week free trial to browse over 85,000 audiobooks and counting. Always new ones being added every day. Audible is the premier service on the web. Nobody's competing with them because they're that great. Try it out. 14 days free and a free audiobook, so you could choose between quite a few audiobooks there. Go to audibletrial.com/take2 right now. That is audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. You really will be glad you did. Ronnie and I are both subscribers. We enjoy it immensely. So great. You could close your eyes and enjoy your favorite books. What more do you want? Relax and listen to a book? Yeah, imagine that. Well, Audible allows you to do that. The auditory experience allows you to do that. So take advantage of it. audibletrial.com/take2. One free audiobook and a 2-week free trial. As always, we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program, as well as the Voices on the Net network. All right, Ronnie, listen. When you sent me this, oh boy, this probably would go well with me saying, well, maybe he was having something rammed up his butt. You know what I mean? Because this places new meaning on really shoving something up there. A man was charged with the theft of toilet paper after the police officer that charged this guy found 6 rolls of toilet paper up his rectum. I want to know how he shoved 6 of those up his... some of these stories seem too unrealistic because they just... first off, a roll of toilet paper is pretty big, and I can get quite sexual here, but it's not exactly that type of show where people will go the distance and shove things in places that are small. But Ronnie, please add your input. That's enough for me for now.
Talk about biodegradable.
Yeah, I guess so.
6 rolls. You got to think these are company rolls. Of course, what are they? One ply. But how do you get them up there? Is what I want to know. I mean, it's going to a lot of. I mean, imagine the noise that was going on in the bathroom when he was trying to steal this stuff.
Did he steal any lube along with the toilet paper?
That makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe he came prepared.
Maybe he didn't come. Well, maybe he didn't come prepared, and maybe along with the rolls, he stuck. Along with the rolls he stole, he stole some lubricant to shove it up there.
He has an addiction.
He's going to need some surgery down there.
Well, I don't know. It's all stretched out. And I'm surprised anything works. Did I just falls out?
Well, now he doesn't have to worry about constipation anymore because it'll all come out. His name's David Pinkham. He's from Massachusetts. He was caught when police spotted him leaving Lawrence City Hall with a case of unused toilet paper with crap all over it, probably. Security videos were used as evidence that he had entered the building empty-handed before leaving with the 6 rolls. Further investigations revealed he had even more about this person. with 6 rolls hidden down his pants. Okay, so it was the case along with the 6 rolls hidden. So apparently he needed more than just a case. My apologies. Read the whole story, JJ. A police report stated that he had, quote, pulled 6 tightly folded toilet paper rolls from his buttocks and groin area at the police station. He's 53 years old, and he had admitted, listen to this, he had admitted it was not the first time he had swiped loo roll from his place of work. He worked there. He's fired.
I'm just visualizing this. How did he walk?
He's fired now, I think. I think he's
I
fired.
think he's
It's not enough that you steal something, but to shove it up your butt, you're gone.
Yeah,
the boss doesn't want you.
Unused. I think once it reaches that point, it's used.
The boss doesn't want you on his payroll. He doesn't want to have to pay for all your medical bills and so forth. Imagine all of the surgery and so forth you're going to need down there. Yeah, they're thinking about the manager's thinking about himself here. Get out of here. Go do that stuff somewhere else. Now we know who you like.
Yeah, well, we know he's prepped and ready for jail.
Yeah. Well, he was charged with larceny over $250. And it seems he's not the only worker who has tried to save himself a few pounds by pilfering toilet roll. Yeah.
How did they do this? The stories that people come up with. And people actually do this stuff.
How big do your buttocks have to be to hide that amount of toilet paper? I want to know. I want to know because it's interesting. I don't want to know because I want to do it. But that sounded so wrong. Now that's going to be used against me. Every time somebody listens to me saying that, I want to know. Then they say, ooh, now we know what JJ likes. I'm serious. I put myself in so many positions that sounds bad too. We got to go to the blast from the past. That's all. All right, that's right. We're going to head into the past. We're going to take the time machine, Ronnie and I and all of you, into the past, a past discussion that Ronnie and I have went into. We've went into quite a few on the show. So yeah, Ronnie, what do you say you and I and the great listeners go into the past? You want to?
I want to.
You do? You do? You want to? All right, here we go. It's been a great show, that's for sure. But it's about to get even greater. This is a great part of the show. We go into the past. So everybody in. Come on. Here we go. For episode 292, we present to all of you your blast from the past. So enjoy. Anyhow, a study that was conducted by economists at the University of Texas in Austin. They analyzed 5 large surveys, and these were conducted between 1971 and 2009 in the United States of America, Canada, Germany, and Britain. And what this study found was that beautiful people are generally happier than the plain Jane or even ugly Joe. So basically, beautiful people are going to have it a lot easier, in other words. That's basically what they're saying here, in a nutshell. That if you're beautiful, you're going to have an easier life. If you're not beautiful, you're going to have to work a lot harder. Money, happiness, yeah, I take the beauty over the less fortunate. Now, I don't think I'm the hottest or the most beautiful person in the world, but I don't think I'm ugly either. I think I'm an average-looking individual, an average-looking American. I usually don't have trouble getting the girls. I usually do not have trouble in life in general when it comes to my looks. But there are those that are less fortunate that just, you can tell. And this is not, I'm not mentioning any names because, well, who am I going to mention for that matter? It's only you and I, and you're beautiful, so clearly, who am I going to mention that's less fortunate? But those that are less fortunate, Ronnie, that don't have the looks have to work harder in life to get what they want to get, whereas beautiful people would not have to work as hard. For instance, a job, or if they're looking to date people, they have an easier time. First impressions mean a lot, and clearly looks play a major role in that.
It does. There was a study done also by 2020 when they went out and actually took people from this society that looked a specific way.
Yeah.
Their facial features was a certain way, but then took them into the control room and just completely distorted their looks.
Yeah.
They made them overweight. They added, lots of wrinkles and messed the hair up and just distorted the way the facial features were.
Yeah.
And sent them out there to see how the public would react to them. And when you saw them beforehand, in their original format, in the original version, without all the makeup, without all the plastics going on, people accepted them easier. They were able to get their tires changed if they were at the side of a road. They were able to get service faster if they were in a restaurant. And the jobs were far more easier. They were more apt to get a return for another interview compared to when they were altered and placed in the same exact situations with the same people. The total opposite happened. They were turned away. They were never called back, but they had the same amount of credentials for the job. Same credentials. They were turned down based on what they looked like.
Well, it has a...
It's conceit.
Absolutely. And there have been psychologists, there have been associate professors of psychology that have read in. One particular associate professor of psychology at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, very good university. His name is Todd Kashdan. Read this. Well, he didn't read the story, but I believe he was asked a question pertaining to the story, and he studies well-being. And he says these findings make perfect sense. And he added, quote, think about it as a gateway to getting what you want from life. Job interviews, first dates, making those initial impressions, persuading and influencing other people. Attractiveness gives that slight edge. They're getting the benefit of the doubt at first sight, and unattractive people are not. You know, people, they don't like to hear that that's the case, and, you know, managers aren't supposed to do that, stereotype and through bias and so forth, but it happens because clearly you want somebody, if they're standing, and we've brought this up before, standing at the front of a store, you want somebody that's good looking, that's going to attract people to come in. It's going to it's going to be there. That's going to be the case. Some people are more fortunate than others. You know, we've talked about relationships, too, how you'll see 9s dating 9s, 7s dating 7s, 5s dating 5s, 2s dating 2s. You know, I know it sounds so wrong because, you know, what about the unfortunate people? So they can't get any loving? But that's just how it is. It's, you know, it's human nature. And I know it sounds so mean, but it's true, Ronnie.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I mean, I started becoming more of a people watcher once we've done that story. And it is true. You see the good lookings against the, you know, the
exactly.
The looks different. You know, I mean, they're all together. They
right.
look for, I guess they're looking for someone equal to them.
Although,
out. I guess it's going to be hard with a mere time and all to share.
Go out to your local town. Go anywhere. Go to the mall, and I guarantee, 99 times out of 100, if you see a good looking person with somebody else, the other person is going to be good looking too. More than it's just good people, you know, good looking people like good looking people. It's just that's how it is. It's like I stated before, human nature. And those that are less fortunate to have decent looks, good looks, they have to fend for themselves. They have to. Now they say there's always somebody out there for everyone. Might not necessarily be somebody you're interested in look-wise, but even they say, oh, yeah, there's somebody out there for everyone that is perfect for you. Now, there are billions of people out there, but is that necessarily the truth? There are people that go through life that never find somebody. Ever. They die alone, unfortunately.
Yeah. They're not interested in you. You're interested in them. They're not interested in you.
It's it's unfortunate now. People can say, oh, that Crimea River, they didn't try hard enough. Well, maybe that's the case, but look at those that are fortunate to have the good looks. They don't have to try hard at all. They can go to a place and the opposite sex flocks to them, like like seagulls to food on the beach. It's the way it is. You know that they're gonna. It's how it is. And that's why when we talk about beauty, it plays a major role, not only if you're in a relationship, but in the job market too, the job force, because people like beauty. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with a company logo. Do you want an ugly-looking company logo, or do you want an attractive-looking company logo? What do you want? An attractive one, right? Seriously.
That's true.
Yeah, good point, right? So think about it. It makes perfect sense. It's unfortunate, but that's the case. We do have to go, though. That's all the time Ronnie and I have for this 292nd episode of Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network. We continue our countdown to the 300th episode show. We're edging ever so closer. Won't you all join Ronnie and I tomorrow, the next episode, to do it all over again for each and every one of you? We'd love to see you all there. All right, until next time, we sadly have to say so long. Take care, everybody. Much love. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Happy 4th. Bye-bye.
And happy 4th of July. That's right.